All right, so I think, I'm sure it's 6. Yeah, there we go. This watch says 6. There we go. All right, it's 6 o'clock.
It's officially 6 o'clock. I love that too.
And I call the meeting of the Economic Development Commission for Northumberland County to order at 6. Roll call, we have a quorum. We have 4 out of 5 commissioners here, so that's done. Agenda review. Does anyone have any changes they'd like to see to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Who's going to second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Review the meeting notes from October. Did anyone have any changes they needed to the October meeting notes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, rolling right along. Commissioner's Corner. Maurice, we'll start with you.
I've got Zoogie this month.
Okay.
The only thing that I have, which I think is going to be encouraging for Callio, and I think will be a good thing for the brewery is going to be having a brick oven pizza.
Oh, they're finally putting it in.
They put it in. They've got most of the. Matter of fact, I spoke to Roger today. Actually, they're hoping to do a soft opening on that in December. So I think that's going to be good for the community, and I think it'll be good for them because it'll put a food presence there where they were, previously relying on food trucks and stuff like that.
Okay.
But other than that, that's all I have. And I guess unless Drew, you wanted to.
Doesn't matter.
Thanks to Drew, and I found this out, Drew's nephew has purchased what was the old Sinclair repair building and is opening up a landscaping building in there. So that's one less vacant building. So I reached out to him and wished him well and told him that we're all rooting for him. And he was a real nice young man to talk to. I really enjoyed the time with him.
You'll have a new business. Congratulations.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a new business because he's been doing this out of his home and out of his grandma's backyard.
So it may not count as new
For years.
business, but it's certainly, okay.
It's a building that's being occupied.
That previously wasn't,
All right.
right.
I have nothing.
I don't have much. Haven't seen anything too new in my area, so I think good to go on commissioners.
Everything's pretty quiet.
Okay. And then when we get to, I've got other stuff, we get to the current projects. Okay, Robert, we're up to you.
Well, now,
That's promising.
got a couple things. I just sent you the goals. In there, it's my draft.
Okay,
I like to be able to review. I highlighted all the numbers so we can put in, how many of what we want to do. You'll see when I do.
so what he's talking about there is because we've been working on our strategic action plan. Robert is working on his goals as executive director so that we can find out where it's best for him to spend his time, because otherwise it get consumed with a lot of meetings and a lot of tasks that may or may not be aligned to where we're trying to go as a group. So he's been looking at his time because 40 hours a month goes by pretty quick if you're consumed in meetings. So thank you, Robert.
Yep, I kind of went a little bit above and beyond, so yeah,
Okay.
you'll see what I have in there. The Career Expo, we presented a briefing to the Board of Supervisors on Thursday to give them an update of the expo. Bottom line, a couple summary points. It was a success. It was positively met by both the job seekers and businesses that came and participated. We got some really interesting feedback. We had a questionnaire where they had to provide us their input, both from the businesses as well as the job seekers, on what they're looking for and also what they would like to see within accounting. One of the distractors, I would say, is that we lack the ability to provide messaging out to the community. We did a great job passing out to the food line, talking to different the library, getting posted on the social media, and the school did a great job of posting as well too. So I posted that.
You mean about the job fair itself?
Right,
Right.
yeah. You got to do a better job next time, yep.
So our next goal, and the board really was very enthusiastic about what we had to offer. They had some pretty good input. We're we're looking to do another one, potentially 2 in the spring, right? And with that, we have an opportunity, and I'm pursuing this with Lisa Hull, for us to be able to get some grant money, to be able to have the funds to pay for advertising, to be able to publish things that we need for the job fair. There's 2 portions of that. It was supposed to be, they extended the submittal for that, so it's in December.
Okay,
And I got that from Matt Mahoney. He sent me the updated format, and I'll be working on that next couple of weeks for you to review. The very next day, Melissa and I had the pleasure to go to Howland School, Howland Church, Howland Chapel. We met with Drew Gruber to discuss the Civil War trails and what they were intending to do. Very, very good meeting. Very good history that we have here. I forget the lady's name. Algeria Tate was there, and she even took us for a tour inside the school. Fascinating.
cool.
It's so fascinating. They're eager. The church is eager. Gruber is eager. So the next step is the church will talk to their board of supervisors and see if they wish to proceed. And at the same time, Lisa Hull and I will be working to try and get grant money to be able to pay for the $3,500 to install the interpretive signage. It's $3,500 for the interpretive signage, and it's $300, I think, annual maintenance fee for them to be able to not just come and clean it up and maintain it, but also to be able to do advertising.
So we need to put that in our budget for next year?
No, it's going to be obtained through.
They take care of it.
Would be the budget with the grant money, yeah. I mean, we can discuss that, we can make that motion later, but my concern is if we do that and there's other Civil War trail things, we're setting a precedent.
Got it.
where we would have to actually do that for all the others. I mentioned a grant for the Spring Expo. My final point is, we talked a while ago about the Main Street theme. And I came upon, something came into my email about Main Street for Virginia. And there's a program that's in there. And the bottom line is there's 3 tiers for the Main Street program. Tier 1 is exploring Main Street, where basically you become involved by understanding what the Main Street program is in Virginia. What are the guidelines, what are the principles, what are the things that you can and can't do to see if you qualify for Tier 2, which is mobilization of Main Street. Mobilization of Main Street would be getting grant money to be able to do more preliminary research, to be able to understand exactly what it is that can be done within your county, which would then lead you into a competitive portion, which is advancing Virginia Main Street. That's Tier 3. So I would like to be able to look into the exploring Main Street. It would require at least, they say, and within the first year, I think it's Tier 1 is 2 years. It just requires involvement by attending or listening to a video or attending the class. So I offer my time to be able to do that pending the commission's approval. So I would request a motion if you guys would like to pursue that. Or if you need more information, I can get you more information.
I will entertain a motion to support the Northumberland County Economic Development Commission in pursuing information on Main Street grants.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And so let us know, Robert, if there's like a session that you think one of us should attend as well. I mean, I like you having all the knowledge there because you're the mainstay, if you will, of the group. But sometimes it's beneficial to have a double set of ears.
Absolutely. Put my name on that one if you would.
And that's all I have.
Awesome.
I'm not forgetting you this time, Drew.
I don't have very much.
Oh, sure, the one time.
I'm like thinking of something in there.
He gave up.
Yeah.
That's
In contact with All Points Broadband representative recently, they are closing in on wrapping up the Batty Grant project to where everybody that was in that initial round, indications I'm getting is they are hoping to have all of that completed by the end of this calendar year.
This calendar year, so in 6
Calendar.
weeks, okay?
That's, unless I misread something or misunderstood something, that's what I'm gathering. Now, it still leaves areas that would be eligible for BEAD, infrastructure, bipartisan infrastructure bill, the BEAD funding, which is yet to be released from DHCD as far as what areas they can go after at what time. They have gone through the process, roughly a year ago. They submitted all of the locations, addresses that they were challenging, whether or not it was actually a served location based on how the map was established originally in polygons versus 911. So they've challenged a lot of areas, and then we're still taking phone calls, emails for other locations that may have been missed somehow, and relaying those on to All Points so they can see if it's any way they can service those, even if they're not able to be included in BEAD.
So what's interesting about that, I don't know why, but Breeze Line now is putting fiber optic down Stillwater, or not Stillwater, Sandy Point. So like it's a peninsula, but they have put from where it connects with Mila all the way down. They run fiber optic. Breeze Line has. So I'm wondering if the All Points coming in and laying fiber optic has prompted Breeze Line to try to upgrade. Now they're not coming down my little road, but who knows? But I find it interesting. I don't know if that's going on in other parts of the county. Do they have to request any action to do that, or do they just?
They have, from the county for Breeze Line to expand, not that I'm aware of.
So I'd be really interested to see where in other parts of the county, because just by virtue of the fact that Atlantic Broadband is coming in and doing this, I wonder if that's helping our posture, because Breeze Line is now trying to compete.
All Points.
Yeah.
Sorry, All Points. Yeah, right. So I'm wondering if that's
And
that's a net benefit.
I would suspect that there's that motive there, because if you look at the inverse with the FCC, you had cable providers that are showing entire areas being serviced, when in fact, if you go and look, they weren't. And now if there's competition.
Well, we have high speed already, though.
Yeah. Is it possible Breeze Line's partnering with APB?
No.
No.
No, and it's explicitly fiber. We have high speed. They put fiber in.
Interesting.
Yeah, if anyone from Breeze Line is listening. Yeah, so.
I don't have any information on that,
Okay.
but kind of following Maurice's comments, I'm interested if it's related to, we're claiming that we service this area even though we aren't currently, and then it got challenged and, oh no, we still want to service this, so they said they were servicing, so now they're having to expand into it. I'm just curious if it was something related.
I'm curious too, because.
Yeah, that's.
And again, my little road doesn't have it, but that's not the issue. I'm thinking it's a net benefit for everybody if we've got a little competition and fiber now in some of the areas where
How often does that happen, right?
yeah. So, sorry.
No, that was pretty much all updated, and it was just where we are with the broadband expansion.
The VATI?
VATI.
Drew, did the contractors indicate when they would, when they're gonna, that was awarded the thing, or did they?
For the ADVs?
No, for the boats. For the
Yeah,
boats.
for the abandoned boats, the
Yeah.
ADVs. We're actually working on getting the contract itself drawn and signed so they can move forward.
Good, but they did select there was a successful bidder.
Correct.
Yeah, I was a little worried that might not happen.
Docks of the Bay, they're actually the same company that put the kayak launch in that.
Oh, did they bid? Okay, good. Well, he'll know that area, won't he?
Yeah, he's familiar. And he's familiar with the one on Bridge Creek because one of the guys that works for him that actually was the one that did the bid. He lives right on Bridge Creek, so it's real close to where he lives. So he's familiar with that one too. So
Good, it'll be good, be glad to see those going.
yes.
Yeah.
That was it.
All right, on to current projects, right? I didn't skip anybody. Okay. So current projects, I just kind of briefed you. We're still working on the strategic action plan. We're starting to, shave off of there. We're gonna hold off on doing the strategic plan until we get the county, what's it called again? That thing you guys are working on.
Comprehensive.
The comprehensive plan, right? But we're still obviously, moving forward. As I mentioned, Robert has put together some of his goals, as an attempt to try to align things. There is the budget. Probably will get the request in January, but I think I'm gonna start, we're gonna start pulling together.
I have that. I'll email
Already?
you the form. I'll email you the form that Mary sent to me.
Okay. So We're gonna take a look at what we did this year. We had some funding this year that we haven't used to create QR code that we haven't used, and so we're gonna look at possibly, I guess, repurposing that. I don't think there's any restrictions on it. We'll take a look at that, and then there may be some other things that we look at proposing next year. I did reach out to the chamber, so, again, and asked them to please help us understand how they're using the 14,000 that they get, the county taxpayer dollars. We would like to understand what their priorities are with those fundings so that we're not duplicating efforts. And I also asked if they could, if we needed to, based on Drew's good suggestion, maybe move this meeting earlier so the chamber could attend. I did get a response back from the vice president of the chamber. And he wants to come to all these meetings. They do want to partner with us. We did not yet get the information about what their priorities are and how they're using the funding. But that's something that we're still going to be working on. And another offer that he made, he came to the Career Expo. And he has agreed that the chamber is going to create a job bulletin board on their website. You do not have to be a chamber to post on this. So I think Melissa, you had requested access to it. Now that I'm back from vacation, I'm going to request access to it to see how easy it is to create. So now we had talked about, creating like a whiteboard or job board, something at the county bulletin board site, which we may still do. But if the chamber is offering to have a central job posting site, I think that's a fantastic idea, and we'd like to market that. So progress in our relationship in working with the chamber. So I think that's good news. Oh, and there's not going to be any cost for any businesses to participate in this because the chamber's already getting paid by the taxpayers for managing that site. So I think we're covered there.
Karen, I did subscribe to that too, and I got the feedback, but I got to reply to the feedback.
Okay, so I've got
pretty smooth.
I've got to go in and do it too, and then that way we can have, I want to try to see if we can get a couple businesses to go in and play with it, even if they're not in this county, so folks we know. So there's that. We have January 29th. We're going to be hosting a session with the University of Mary Washington, the lady who runs the Virginia Talent and Opportunities Program. So we'll be sending that out. She sent the flyer to me, I think yesterday, Robert. So what we've been talking with the program, remember we had someone that came in and talked to us about a program that you can get grants for hiring apprentices or interns. You have to go through a training program to be eligible to apply for that grant. So we're bringing her here in January, the 29th of January. We're going to host the session and invite any business. Priority for us would be the county, but if there's other counties that want to participate, I'm not going to stop them. They're going to manage the registration through her. We've got a flyer that we're going to start putting out for that. Similar to what we did with the career fair, kind of go around to talk to people. We do have a list of the emails for a lot of the businesses based on the list that we got from Jacob and Vague Consortium. So I think what I might start doing is just sending out some emails as well. We're going to host it in the tavern room. I know it's not, what is it called? I always get the name wrong. The building that's behind the tavern, it's the tavern gathering place, I call it.
We call it the tavern.
Right, the tavern. So it's going to be hosted there. We're going to have a few refreshments, so we're going to make sure that's taken care of. And then anyone who comes out of that session will then be eligible for application to the grant. So the goal is to try to then get some positions like that in the county so that businesses don't have to put forward the money on their own. They can get some support for it. And we can get some more people trained and maybe employed in the county. So that's going to take place on the 29th. I think the session's going to be from 1 to 3. I have to look at the timing, but we're going to host it from 12 to 4. So we're going to make sure we've got, some, like we did with the Career Expo, have some refreshment. It'll be better than I won't have I don't know, the brownies were good though. So we're going to have some refreshments, et cetera, there. And then also it's going to be, I think, a good opportunity for people to network. I would like to use that opportunity to also share information about the job board that the chamber is going to host. So I think we can maybe have like a little bit more around the get together. So that's going to take place in January. I also talked to Corinne, right? Yep. I talked to Corinne about our idea for the Career Expo in the spring. So what we're thinking now, based on the conversations we had with Dr. Burns at the school, we're going to have 2 tracks in the spring. So one track will be an in-school type of job fair, period, end of discussion. It can be, we can have some Career Expo things thrown in, but what we really want to try to do is get some businesses that are looking for summer hires into the school. So Dr. Burns is gonna help us with that part. Then the second piece that we're gonna have, and this is where it's very much open for conversation with this group, depending on how much energy we want to spend. So just for purposes of comparison, we did the job fair for under $200, the expo.
Mhm.
We had the donated gift certificates that we had, all the supplies, the food, the tablecloths, everything. So it was under $200 to put on the Career Expo. The next one, that depending on what we get with the resources, what we're thinking of is combining a Career Expo with like a heritage fair. So we have I don't know if anyone saw, there was that great article in the, it's a quarterly newspaper that comes out, but it talked about the heritage that's in this area, right? We've got Waterman, we've got Tiffany that builds yachts here, not just repairs things. There's a lot of different things. We could even highlight some of the things from the churches and some war trails. So if we had a big Career Expo / heritage fair in the spring, again, this is all very nasty, and anyone who's listening to this or this is being recorded, this is all for discussion purposes, nothing yet's been decided. So what we're gonna do, I'm old habits die hard, is think about, remember we had the Woodworkers Guild that wanted to try to bring folks here. We've got Indian Creek Yacht and Country Club that's gonna have the junior golf tournament. So what we could do is have demonstrations of different career type things in the county. Get somebody to come in and set up a little oyster bed, right? Lakey was looking.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool
Right.
idea.
Right, he was looking for people that could work, right, there's a job advertisement for somebody to work in his oyster house to feed the oysters, right? So have like a career demo of that. Get some people from Omega to come in and demonstrate some of the things maybe from the lab. Get a local welder, get somebody who's a mechanic, get somebody who's a hairdresser. Get different people from the county to come in and do demonstrations and say, look, if this is what you think you might like to do, you can do this. At the same time, have the guild over here with their woodworking stuff for sale. Have the Weavers Guild over here with their stuff. Have it open for tours. I don't know when the farmers markets start, but the idea would be we would bring people from our county to come look at what career opportunities exist here. And also have people that are coming in to perhaps buy goods or visit the county. So we would market it on multiple layers.
More eclectic.
Right, and maybe we could get, if we're working with him, we can get a bus tour or two to come in and say, come visit, we'll have goods and stuff. So make it like not a county fair, but like a heritage expo. So we need to also look at what some of the Northern Neck 250 group is doing, if there's anybody from there that can come. So I'll pause there and just ask for reactions on what you guys think of such an event, because it's not going to be small to plan. It'll be bigger than what we did before. And if you think it's too much, we can scale it down. But what are some thoughts?
First, I have a few. If everybody will just give me a few minutes. On the less than $200, and I know what the answer is, but I've got to ask it anyway. How reproducible do you think that the school's event is regarding the budget? And it's just for
the event at the school.
Right.
If we're going to do another one at the school like that, it's fine.
Well, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking how reproducible is hitting a budget target of less than $200 in order to fund the event.
All the donations,
Yeah.
are they gonna be willing to re-up?
Yeah, it was my money, I'll do it.
Confidential.
I'm not sure if you're asking for the school or the big one.
I'm asking for the one that we just had.
Yeah, it's replicable. It will be done again.
Perfect.
Okay.
I have paper plates left, I'm good.
I figured that was the answer, but I wanted to ask it anyways, just to make sure. One of the things I noticed on that particular event is that this is just my impression, we would have benefited from more lead time for whatever reason. I don't.
Okay, so
For getting word out is my.
we're gonna do a retrospective on that event.
Yeah.
I got it. So we're not to that part of the agenda yet, so if you can hold those comments. Because we have to do a retrospective on the Career Expo that just happened. I'm thinking through, and if you want to do that one first, we can. But the concept for the spring,
I love it.
all right.
I do too. I think it's a good idea.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna start putting a plan together. I'll work with you because the idea is that we would definitely need some outside funding support for this. And if we can't get it outside, we may have to, do something inside. Okay, now.
Karen, where's a potential location that you're thinking? Right there.
Right there.
Okay,
Show
so and again, excuse my ignorance on that, that's like where they do the blacksmithing and the displays and stuff like that? That's county property then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there like scheduling issues or something like that? or-
So I've already started that conversation. When I talked to Corinne about the January 29th event, I had floated the idea of a potential larger event, and so I'm gonna meet with her probably in the next 2 weeks to see what that looks like, because I know there's the farmer's market, like there's a lot of other stuff that happens, but I'm gonna talk to her about how that would happen. and
I think it's a great location.
She's the right person, right?
Yeah,
She said she
Corinne
was,
agrees.
yeah. So I'm gonna talk with her about that and how we can incorporate all the things that are already here into it. So, yep, I'm on that one.
Good, I think it's a good location.
Okay.
May I share a couple thoughts on the bigger one? You may want to consider partnering with the VOTEC Center to help
Okay.
come in and show, in case you don't have a local mechanic or.
That's a
whoever,
good idea.
that you have somebody that teaches it hands-on. that
Oh, yeah,
can
that's great.
kind of
Yeah,
do a demo. And or get with Bay Consortium Workforce and get Giles Scott to show up with a virtual reality set to show.
Oh, I'd love to have him there for that. Oh, yeah.
Those were just two quick points to help.
No, that'd be great.
Drew, help me understand this virtual reality part that you just mentioned. What's,
So Giles Scott with Bay Consortium Workforce Development, he's like the teen influencer. He goes around to the schools and some other other sites. And he has a virtual reality set that they put on, and they can select what career they want to get a demo of out of the list. He doesn't have every career, obviously, but they can see like welding or electrical
Oh, wow.
and stuff like that.
Huh.
Just to kind of get an idea and to visualize what's going on with it to help them better get a basic lower level understanding of where that will take them.
that's cool.
So that it's.
Yeah, it's Ready Player One for jobs. I think it's awesome to have
Yeah,
that.
so, and that's just. a
Yeah,
couple-
no, that's great. I wrote
How
that
long
down.
has he been doing that? How long has that been?
I do not know. We just started talking to Bay Consortium Workforce on that. I was at one of the Clio meetings and they got talking about different things they were doing, and that's when I got Jacob to come in and talk to.
I'll see Jacob. There's a VTOPS meeting in December I'm gonna go to, and so I'll see him there. And
That's cool.
the Bay Consortium team did send us, I had asked our contact at Rappahannock Community College if there was any lessons learned. So I'm switching over now to retrospective of our past event. So this is, Maurice, where your comments are gonna come in. Because we had tried to get a standard operating procedure or some type of document because they've done these before and we were never able to get one. So we kind of flew by the seat of our pants. And for me, the biggest is the lead time, I think. So the biggest thing for me on our prior effort was the lead time for outreach to businesses and the public like announcements. So Maurice, go ahead now. You had some thoughts.
So when I spent a couple of days going around to businesses. And I could tell automatically that just some of them didn't come out and say it, but in their conversation, they hinted at, I wish I'd have known this earlier, so that kind of addresses that part. And I was sitting with Robert when he gave the presentation to the Board of Supervisors, and we got feedback from the people that showed up. But there was discussion had with the people that didn't, that's relevant. And I think maybe in a post-event kind of way, we need to reach out to all of those folks that didn't show up to query the discussion of why they didn't think that it was a good idea or why they couldn't, or whatever the case may be. Because there's clearly, from the comments that I've already gathered and put into the sheet, there's room for improvement, not necessarily in the event, but in things that we can offer, maybe tasks that we ought to try to tackle. So we need to research it and get the input from the folks that, the
So
businesses.
I would suggest that you do that when you're going around telling about the event on the 29th. Because
Sure.
I did that with some of my, like some of the businesses I talked to, it was, they didn't necessarily have someone to send.
Yeah,
Right?
that's what I was getting.
Right, some of them were like, oh, we're a little busy with something else.
Yeah.
I think there was a planning thing. I did talk to them about what we were gonna try to do in the spring, so they were excited about that, and I did talk to some of them about this grant opportunity. So I think that really it was, again, I'm not gonna throw stones at it, because we successfully held an event, it's the first time I think we've had one. I don't know,
Ever?
I don't know,
Yeah, the board recognized that too. They said, this is,
They made good comments.
it's the first time this happened, huh?
Okay, so there's an opportunity here for more. And I think it's the planning that needs to get better, which is why it's important for me to talk to Corinne about the date. Because we also, if we could do it at the same time there's a farmer's market, I mean, that would be great too, because you get all the people that are in the county to see it, but I don't know when those start. So there's conversations that need to happen on that. And then the school, I'm gonna rely on Jay Lightfoot, who used to be here. He sent me some suggestions on for the school one. And then Dr. Burns clearly is gonna have some ideas because they're with the students all the
I
time.
really like the idea of the quasi, you just used it, the quasi vending aspect of this for vendors. Like you're suggesting, I think that's gonna draw people that maybe are not just looking at it from an employment standpoint, but can still contribute to, overall successful businesses in the county. So I think it's a great idea.
So it's gonna take, obviously, a little bit to pull off, so I'm gonna commit to putting together like a basic outline for a project plan. Robert, I have to work with you because we need to make sure that we get whatever to apply for this grant.
Sure.
I'm grant averse in some cases because of the reporting requirements, and so I'd like to understand what the obligations are of the county before we agree to do anything, because I'm super sensitive to getting tasked with a whole bunch of stuff that we don't want to do. And so it could be that we may have to, I don't know, get sponsors, which we'll have to look into that. But the advertising, the outreach, excuse me, not the advertising, the outreach, both from the business perspective and the participant perspective is something that we really need to focus on. I was surprised we did get, so we had students that came in, right? They were in the Saturday class and they came in, but we did have at least one person that came in that was actively seeking like a job that day. And so that was good. I don't know how that person found out. And the feedback I got from the employers of mine that came were they were super like excited to just be part of an event. And they weren't as concerned about how many people might walk in as they were that, look, this is the first time they were able to participate. So I was excited about that. Mr. Cost, do you have any thoughts? You're deep in thought over there, or deep in jet lag. You don't get jet lag, you travel the world all the time.
This is impressive. The one, just flipping back to the chamber thing we were talking about, if they're gonna actually do legitimate work now, maybe we should have a link on the county website to the chamber, if we don't already, about the job board.
So I would like to see demonstrable success.
Good, a good metric, yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Because, so that's why I wanna, if we test it out, I wanna recruit a couple businesses to then go in and try to use it and post it, because there are still some parts of that website that aren't quite updated.
Okay.
And so I recognize that it's a big effort to keep up a website, and if you've got the same person doing 14 different websites, that might be a little tough. So I wouldn't wanna, if we start on this project, it needs to continue, because if, otherwise, I don't want the businesses to be like, oh, great, now I don't have that. And if, so, agree 100%. I'm eager to see how we can achieve success with that. And then again, if there's something that, if it doesn't quite work out, I'd like to consider maybe us having an intern. So we need to, I know we had looked in our plan, by December, we were gonna start doing some outreach for interns. Because that's when if they go back to college, so we need to get our intern announcement posted on the county site relatively soon so that we can be successful in recruiting for an intern or two this year. So we need to plan ahead for that. And then, if we can get summer interns, that's even better too.
You also made a comment about you'd asked the RCC for something around a template for these sorts of events. Any idea why they didn't come forward? That seems odd, and I'd be glad to help fix that if that's.
So I don't know why the first time it wasn't successful. What did happen then when the lady who is our contact at RCC actually came to the Career Expo that Saturday. And I asked her again, and that's when Bay Consortium sent us one. So the second request was successful. So maybe the email got lost, not sure. But we did get, we do have like a best practice thing now. So we did get something. And interesting enough too, we also had one of the businesses that came to the Career Expo was not a local business that we contacted. So
Really?
I think
They're out of Fredericksburg.
they were out of Fredericksburg, and it was an organization that helps businesses hire people with disabilities.
Division of Rehabilitative
Yeah.
Services.
But they said they had a list of people in this county looking for employment.
Mhm.
And so I thought that was interesting. So one, I was super glad they were there because they somehow in either, probably the message that the Bay Consortium Group through Jacob sent out, or somebody sent out a message that got to these folks. And then they said they had a list of people that were looking for jobs. So I thought that was positive. Transportation may have been an issue. So it could be that part of what we do through the chamber, if possible, is also some job matching, right? If we have people looking for jobs and we turn those folks onto the chamber site, maybe they could do some pairing that way. I'd like to see us pursue the relationship with the Department of Social Services a little closer as well, so that we can get, I know they did some advertising, but I'd like to see if there's any way we can start like marrying up businesses across, boundaries. So for the expo that we do in the spring, again, the focus would be county businesses. If we get people from other counties that want to attend, I'm not worried about, bringing in for visiting here. Business wise, what are you guys' thoughts on restricting the event to county employers versus opening it to multi-county employers?
I think that can come later. I think at any point, I think the more activity we get, the better off, my view.
So which way is that go, multi or single county?
Multi, I don't see anything.
Yeah,
Multi?
one thing to consider, the grant money, I think, requires opening the aperture more.
Okay,
So we would-
okay, so that might solve that.
And I'll tell you, Karen, the reason why I think that's a good idea is that may even down the road allow us to promote how business friendly the county is to businesses in other counties that might not be aware of how business friendly we are here. I mean, I think it's great that we don't even require a business license here, and I mention that to people all the time, and everybody goes, really?
Yes, thanks to John.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So, all right, so let's take a look at what the grant requires and then we can look, okay. Okay, so we talked about, Maurice, did you have something? Sorry.
I'm just worried that if we bring in employers from other counties, we're gonna send potential workforce out of the county to work for those.
If they're living here, they're paying taxes here.
Right.
Yeah,
As long as
and they
have
have to
jobs.
drive, yeah, I mean, if they have to drive from Eastville to Walmart, that's what they have to do.
That assumes that they're property owners, but the point is that we wanna grow business here. And if we export our workforce, what do we have to offer to businesses that either may or may not be here today, but, the people I talked to leading into the school event didn't have the shiniest perspective on our existing workforce. And if we've got good pieces of that workforce and we're gonna export them out, that's gonna make it tougher for local companies.
So you're on the side of restricting to county only.
Initially, yeah.
Okay, you're on the side of multi.
Well-
Let's see what the grant says, right? Because if the grant says that we have to have it open to multi, then we
Then
can
that's
look
what
at
it is.
But if not, then we can look at that. Because we restricted this one to invitation only.
I mean, you bring up a good point. That's a really good point.
Then that means that each commissioner is gonna need to work to get people there. Right? We're gonna have to set targets for our, right, to make sure that we get people there. Okay,
Well, and I guess this, not to beat a dead horse, Maurice, that was my thought originally, is that since we're kind of in the infancy of doing this anyhow, maybe it might not be a bad idea to open it up, to just get participation. But I hear what you're saying, and I think it's a valid point.
okay. So we'll see what the grant says and we'll come revisit this. And we won't be revisiting it in December
Mm-mm.
because we're not having a meeting in December. Just for,
Oh, we're not?
Cool.
no, right? We're gonna take December off. Anybody, any objections?
So moved.
It's under new business.
Oops, sorry. Okay. So current projects, we talked about the budget, we talked about the prior career, yeah.
Well, you mentioned the reference to the Department of Social Services, which I agree with, but it just occurred to me that in Virginia, the unemployment and workforce is managed through a different agency. So the VEC,
But I thought they were the connection to VEC.
are they?
They are,
I'm
yeah.
wondering.
They are, in fact, they have somebody who comes at the Warsaw office and works there
Okay,
3 days a week, I believe. Yeah.
okay,
They have a representative from that.
that's what I was getting.
So Robert connected with them. They used their Facebook page to post the announcement. They had an event at the YMCA where they shared the announcement. I would like to broaden that partnership so that we're touching, like, for people who are really, if you've got people on unemployment and we've got vacancies in this county,
now, the question is, can they actively reach out to the people who are on unemployment in the county to say, hey, there's this job fair, maybe worthwhile to go? I don't know if that's legal.
Well, that was one of the points where, Robert, what did she say when you asked her about that? She said they could post.
She said she could post it, she could send it, she could contact them, and she just left it at that.
So we're gonna explore that a little bit more, because frankly, I would like to see the attendance at the Career Expo count for your I looked for a job this week requirement,
Mhm.
which legally may not be possible, right? So they need to advise us on that. But if we've got these job openings
I
and,
wonder why that wouldn't count.
Yeah, I mean, in
but
addition.
I don't know, that's just an idea, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they can, I don't know what we would need to do to get qualified to be one of those, or like, so that's one of the areas we want to explore a little bit more with the next iteration.
When I was deputy director of Department of Social Services in Michigan, that was allowed. So
It seems that it would.
you would think, yeah.
So we have to explore that.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah, that definitely makes, and I know at least one of the supervisors, when we met last January, had that idea. Okay, so we're not, all right, so we did the Career Expo, the budget, the strategic action plan. What am I missing under current projects? Anything? All right. I promise we'll be out of here in 10 minutes. New business, I did want to ask you guys, and this is just a thought. So last January, we met with the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors in a joint meeting where we had conversations around lots of stuff. Y'all were there, you know what it was. Would you guys like to pursue another meeting to share what's happened over the year, and the successes we've had, or would you prefer that we just do like a report and share it with them? Do you guys have any thoughts around another such engagement?
Yes,
What are those thoughts?
yes, do it again.
Do what again? The report or the meeting?
Toward what end? What are you trying to accomplish?
Well, I think what we have is a style of group of organizations in the county, and without a little bit more cross-pollination, we'll miss opportunities that we need to catch. I find value in it, even if a particular meeting doesn't yield anything as a practice, it will, over the long term, I believe, be a positive thing.
If I may, perhaps the theme for the meeting would be the road ahead. What's the road ahead? What are we looking for from an EDC perspective? And also have the other commissions provide their road ahead for that year. That way we see if there's any synergy in what we're trying to do, make sure there's no competing interests. So to your point, let's have that meeting again. And this time we'll say two things. Here's what we accomplished, and here's what our road ahead is. And if we have each commission provide that, I think that'd be helpful.
I think it's a good idea.
My hesitation is strong. As Karen noted, we're in the process of working on a comprehensive plan right now. He's had the misfortune of having to attend some of these.
It's really not that bad.
We're in chapter 4, and I went through it in detail, gave all sorts of comments, but the broad picture was, this is a picture of the status quo around all sorts of facilities and physical things that are in the county. The notion that there are recommendations, or shall I say, a plan to do something, completely missing.
You had that, yeah, I remember you talked to that a little bit.
And when I said that, I said, I think this plan needs to be restructured to talk about what is, where are the opportunities, and what are the specific recommendations. All of my commissioners rejected that idea. It's too much work.
The style of,
And in order for you,
That was despite the fact I offered to rewrite it myself.
On the planning commission,
yeah,
wow, well, you're spot on.
it was frustrating to see
So
that.
perhaps we provide our
our goals.
accomplishments and our road ahead.
Well, the point I was getting at though is rather than having all three bodies get together,
Maybe just the two.
it would be useful for you all to provide some reinforcement that this isn't the plan, this doesn't tell us anything about, except what the status quo looks like.
Yes.
We can do that.
I'm gonna go at it again, our meeting is on Thursday, I'm gonna go at it again, I've written a preamble, unsolicited, to say, this is what's good, and so on and so forth. But the goal of this plan is to do the following, and if my commissioners like that idea, I'm gonna say, great, now this plan does not do what the goal says. So what are we gonna do about it?
Okay, so in
Yeah.
since you're our liaison, and I don't know that, Maurice, you attend those meetings, so you're our liaison there. We can easily write a summary of what we've done and what we're planning to do in the future. I'm sure we can get time at the Board of Supervisors to present that and get questions back from the Board of Supervisors. In your assessment, would that be beneficial to help support a different kind of plan moving forward? Like, here's what I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah, this is a problem.
My preference would be for a constructive conversation. A room full of 40 people doesn't always lend itself to that. And
Agreed.
what happened in the last meeting was a great opportunity. We hadn't all gotten together before. I loved that. I felt like it was turning into a whole bunch of taskings for the EDC. It was fix childcare, get transportation, it was like a whirlwind of stuff coming at us, and then we had to filter through it. What I would like to have is a more structured conversation, and I think, John, if this is where I think you're going is, look, here's what we've done as EDC with what we have. Here's where we think we'd like to go over the next year, and here's where maybe there's like where we need help or something, and that would, I think, lend itself to a different kind of plan, because it would be us asking, in a sense, for help. Now, I don't have any problem going to my Board of Supervisors member and doing that, or going to my Planning Commission member and doing that. Do you think that's a better approach? Do you think we should institutionalize, in a sense, what we've done over the past year since that meeting, or do you think there's no point in it?
I don't think, quite honestly, I don't think there's a point in it yet, because while I agree with you that the joint meeting that we had last time was very useful in many ways, one thing that has not come out of that, and maybe it has because I've missed a few of your meetings, have you all gotten a sense from the board of your members, supervisor members, about what they see the future direction of the county?
No,
Not at a micro level, like you're doing now with workforce, but in terms of what does the future look like? I mean, one thing that leaps to mind as we're doing with chapter 4 is, if we had a water and sewage system between the high school and the east
Ding,
side,
ding, ding, ding,
east
ding,
side of
ding.
Eastville, it
Absolutely,
changes everything.
absolutely.
There
it
is
does.
no appetite for that kind of expenditure at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
So, but that's the kind of thing that should be thought through in a plan. This isn't just about, let's find 5 or more jobs or get another dollar store in here. This is, we gotta change the game here.
So the answer to your question is no. Like, I know from my supervisor, when I've talked to him, it's make sure you're protecting mom and pops and go out and make small, right changes. What I took away from last year's meeting was, we have to do what we can within certain parameters. And those parameters are, there's still guardrails. I think we're pushing on the guardrails a little bit with asking for some rezoning, right? There's some things that you all have talked about. We'd asked for the map. There's a digital map that we'd asked for zoning, I think, right? And that's coming. Do you have any sense when that's gonna be here?
Not heard, I
Right.
haven't followed up anymore with.
So,
on that, but-
I'd like to get a date for when that's gonna happen, because that's been one of the questions we ask for when businesses come in. I'd like to get us moving on here's what the county is for a package for businesses, just within our own parameters. I've not gotten any sense from the Board of Supervisors in terms of future, and I don't know what they're planning on that. So maybe this is as simple
I don't
as,
think that they are planning.
they are, I've mentioned it to at least 3 of them, and what I get is not a lot of out-of-the-box thinking or aggressive pursuit of anything, really. They don't come out and say it, obviously, but I just don't see any ambition aimed at true growth. Doing stuff that actually brings in businesses, new businesses, stuff that we don't already do. Identifying that we can't continue to have an engine that needs to run on full-size logs and we're getting at twigs.
right.
but part of that is our job.
I get that.
So we haven't made any, I would argue that we as EDC haven't made any proposals that said if we did these 2 things, it would help, right? We're working around the edges. The workforce housing that you're working on. I think we can't bring more businesses in this county until we fix who's working, right? So that's why the job fairs to me are so important. So is part of this on us to propose something. I'm not ready to propose yet because I don't think we've exhausted all the small option. Am I thinking wrong on this though?
No, you're right. I mean, but this is one of the things, what comes first, the cart or the horse, or the chicken or the egg, or the chicken and the horse?
Absolutely.
Whatever, I mean.
Chicken and a horse.
So to your point about the
Or the horse
infrastructure,
or the chicken.
Got it.
I'm-
Got it.
What?
to your point about the infrastructure, you mentioned the sewer, well, the same thing applies to electrical, and we can carry on. The point is that there is no appetite for that kind of expenditure.
No,
And that
it's
inhibits.
worse than that. So one of the things that the planning commission was asked to do by the board of supervisors in written vote was to evaluate putting a 1 mile buffer
Oh, yeah.
for solar, commercial solar, 1 mile away from any tidal water. That eliminates the entire 360 and 200 corridor. Now, what kind of message does that send? Now, we ramped it back, I made a motion, cut that back to 3/4 because it opened up a few miles east of the high school on 360 and a little bit on 200. We'll see if that happens, but we were told by the board of supervisors, evaluate approving a 1 mile buffer.
What was the feeling of the planning commissioners? Regarding that?
That was a heated
We
discussion.
had 8 people present that night, the vote was 4-4, so the motion to do the 1 mile failed.
Okay. So, I'm gonna wrap this discussion up. And any other new business?
You were going to mention something about next month's meeting?
Oh, thank you. So is there any objection to not to foregoing December's meeting and meeting back again in January?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second.
Third.
All right, so, any discussion? None? All right, all in favor of suspending the December meeting, vote aye.
Aye.
All right, so we'll meet back again in January. Do we have any, we don't have any citizens here, so we're good to go. And I guess then I'll take unless there's something else I'm missing, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
You adjourned at 6:52.